When was a time that you felt really challenged farming?
Cat tunnels.
Yeah, cat tunnels.
Cat tunnels and wind.
Welcome. This is the Ag Engineering Podcast, where we talk tools, tips, and techniques to improve the sustainability of your farm. I am your host, Andy Chamberlain from the University of Vermont Extension, and this podcast is supported by Northeast SARE, providing grants and education to advance innovation in sustainable agriculture. We are trying to improve the industry by chatting with farmers and getting their input on tools, tips, or techniques that have changed the way they farm for good. Many of these practices affect multiple areas of the farm. Whether it be environmentally, emotionally, physically, or financially, we share the knowledge to promote sustainable agriculture, lifestyle, and business. Thanks for having a listen. Now, let's get started. Today's episode comes to you from Brookfield, Vermont, where we're interviewing Kyle Doda and Betsy Simpson of 1000 Stone Farm. Kyle has been farming for 6 years, and now he has 3 acres in vegetable production and an acre in high tunnels. They sell to their own farm store, wholesale, CSA, restaurants, and even year-round farmers markets. And they're bringing in between $200,000 and $300,000 in gross sales. Kyle and Betsy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Andy, for having us.
Thanks.
So I just framed the stage a little bit about your farm, but how would you describe yourself in one sentence?
We're a small, certified organic vegetable farm, which also focuses on mushrooms, fruit, and egg production.
When was a time that you felt really challenged farming?
Cat tunnels.
Yeah, cat tunnels.
Cat tunnels and wind.
Let's talk about those, because we did do a prior episode on cat tunnels. So what are your viewpoints? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you still use them? Have you thrown them away?
I built 500-foot cat tunnels 4 years ago, I guess now. It was great at the time, and it still is. We still use them, and I'm still modifying them to make them better for the use that we have found they work best for. We use them for mostly early season production as well as shoulder season, though we have used them for peppers in the main season, which did work really well. Some of the things that we've found work better is I put a ridge pole in, and interestingly enough, the cat tunnels, they will hold snow, in my opinion, better than the regular greenhouses. We barely do anything to them, and it's like a little igloo forms over top of this thing, and they're just like this white tunnel that you just see out in the field. It's like a big bump. It's kind of amazing. The other thing that we're going to put in this year is wind braces and flat ends, because I find that the whatever you want to call it, the ponytail ends, I think is what has been.
I think that's the new industry term,
the coined term. It just loosens up. Issues occur with it. Getting in and out can be tricky. We usually just shovel our way in, which is fine. We don't really mind because we harvested them throughout the winter, but it's mostly in the early winter and then in the March time frame we harvest the most out of them. But yeah, we've had some pretty rough moments with the two of us yelling at each other about what the heck's going on when the cat tunnel is flying up in the air, or Betsy was here alone one time trying to deal with it. I mean, it just gets insane trying to hold the plastic to the cat tunnel while the ropes are breaking or the poles are popping out or
it's flipping over.
Sorts of situations.
So you're using them for winter greens production.
Correct. We have 500 feet linear feet of cat tunnel production, and 200 of it is in lettuce production. 100 of it is in spinach and 100 in kale. And then this year we used the last 100 for our chickens to have winter housing for them. So however you want to look at it. But yeah, I do think that there's some pretty good possibilities for them. I think that I would like to have the ends wiggle wired down, and that way the centers can open and the ends can just be wide open during the summer months. And it's just basically protecting from rain. And then you can just drip irrigate.
How are you managing scrunching up the sides, or are you?
We do. We use bungees, and that seemed to actually work pretty well for the most part. And most of the time, depending on the crops, we leave them in there.
What are you bungeeing around or to?
We either bungee the ropes to each other and around the pole, and that just seems to create enough friction to like hold it up for the most part. One of our favorite crops to grow in the cat tunnels early spring is sugar snap peas. And so we can do right down the center and drop a trellis curtain from our ridgepole, and then you can just have early sugar snap peas all the way down.
Tasty.
Yeah, top seller.
And early.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and then we always have 2 beds on either side of that too that are full production of either Happy Rich or chard or some kind of parsley. Like the cat tunnel's always full with those sugar snap peas in the middle.
So while the sugar snap peas are growing up, we're still able to harvest all those other crops right next to it.
Are all these cat tunnels the same brand? Where'd you get yours?
They're mine.
DIY?
Yeah, they're all DIY. So I bought 21-foot pipe length. Even though a lot of the cat tunnels are in pieces, I knew that I would have rather, if I'm going to grow in them year-round, they're going to be stronger if it's one solid piece for each hoop. So then I bought the Johnny's bender, and I bent them myself. It takes about 2 hours for 2 people to bend 21 hoops to make a 100-footer. And then putting it up, I ended up buying all the rebar in 20-foot lengths and cutting every single piece down to 3 feet myself with a hand grinder, which that actually was kind of annoying and took a while. But it was better, I guess.
You only have to do that once.
You only have to do it once, but 42 times per house, which is the thing. I think, the one thing about the Farmer's Friend cat tunnels caterpillar tunnels that I've seen, I don't own one, but is they are wider and they are taller, which I think is pretty nice. However, I would say that our cat tunnels cost us $1.25 per square foot. So I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it overall, and I think the amount of production that's come out of them is definitely worth the input. When you're looking at $4 to $5 per square foot for a larger high tunnel, I think for a lot of folks, if you're farming in an area that doesn't get a lot of wind, it's probably amazing, I would imagine. But wind is probably the biggest culprit for issues.
Do you get a lot of wind here?
We do, yeah. I mean, we don't get, I guess we do get up to 50 and 60 mile an hour winds, but it's pretty few and far between. But when we do, we get it for sure.
And so are you rebuilding tunnels a couple times this summer, or how are you anchoring them down for wind?
We usually have to fix one cat tunnel a year, maybe twice, spring and fall.
More than that.
Maybe, yeah.
We did it more than that. We did the long cat at least twice this year, and we put plastic back on multiple times of the other ones.
Yeah, so one maintenance thing I think that is actually important that folks can do is just going through and tightening the ropes, because they do stretch. And I've even considered some sort of cinch knotting system that you could go through and just pull and tighten ropes, because they stretch and then the plastic gets loose. But if they're tight, they're on there pretty well. So if somebody went through, probably 2 people pulling them tight, 30 minutes, saving an hour 3 times a season, it would make a huge difference, I think. Because it's really just when that wind catches underneath there but has nowhere to go. So if one side falls down, I think those topics that folks talked about earlier, it's definitely, that's the culprit usually. Still, overall, I think they're worth it. I mean, if you either have the ability to get the grant funding, or you have the money or take out a loan to do a larger house, yes, it's much easier to work.
You have both. You've got
cat
tunnels and high tunnels.
Yeah. But, I mean, if I were to give up the cat tunnels, I'd be losing 5,000 square feet.
Right.
That's substantial. So.
Yeah. So we don't totally love them, but
we don't totally hate them.
We don't totally hate them.
I do think for certain crops, like I really love doing the peas in there. Like that really works well.
That seems like a good win.
It's a good win. Like it's a high valued crop, and you can do it earlier, and the trellis is all there. Like it's very easy to set up trellis. You're not putting in stakes every 5 feet with a post thing. It's just it's.
So is that a netting, like a plastic net trellis?
It is. It's like a 4-inch plastic net trellis, like a bird netting or something like that.
How do you attach that to the?
We just have like hooks or zip ties, and then we stake it down at the ground, and then we actually use the paper pot transplanter to put in the peas, which worked really well.
Pretty efficient to me.
Yeah, I mean it took no time at all.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great for spring production and stuff. Like that's where our first round of lettuce goes.
I mean, I built 5 of them, so
you can't go in the field yet. Like there's still snow. It's still snowing outside. We always get snow in May, but I can already have lettuce growing in the cat tunnel.
And we harvest it into like June or July because you plant that much in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're almost selling me on one.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons.
Well, I mean, that opens up market opportunities. And like you said, you DIY'd them, so you didn't even spend $1,000 a piece.
No, like $1,000, $1,200.
Okay. So it costs about the same to DIY it as to buy them by the time.
Yeah, I think so. I think the difference is, though, is that ours are a solid piece. So in order for the hoops to collapse, it's got to actually bend in completely, where you could just, when you have a connection, you're going to have a little more of a vulnerability there, I feel like.
I see.
I mean, have we had any snow damage to them? You hit it with a snowblower, but that doesn't count.
Yeah, we haven't had any snow damage. I've definitely hit them with the snowblower while I'm clearing the sides sometimes. But for the most part, honestly, I don't find them to be a burden during the winter at all. Like if you put them, 20 feet apart or 30 feet apart
from each other.
Yeah, just enough. And so that's another thing that we do is we put them, we have a couple that are too close together actually, but they're like 12 feet apart, which I don't like. That makes like this crazy tunnel thing going on with the snow. But we also, when they're like 20 or 30 feet apart, you just run beds in between them. So during the summer, you're still using the entire field. There's just beds there. Some are covered, some are not. So crops that might need more coverage get to go in the ones that do, and ones that don't. I mean, it works out.
Yeah, and then during the winter, there's somewhere for snow to go, and it's not just piling up.
Right. So that's, you said about 20 feet between spaces.
I'd say 20 feet is pretty nice.
Yeah.
The other really nice thing is that for compost application, we just push the plastic all the way off, and then I just take the tractor with the bucket and just dump in 3 or 4 loads of compost, and then you spread it out with a rake and shovel and whatever. So it's all already in there.
Yeah, you're not going back and forth with a wheelbarrow and a shovel.
Yeah, that would.
So like in our greenhouses, we put 5 wheelbarrow loads per bed in every greenhouse every spring and fall, ideally. So it adds up.
Yeah.
But it definitely makes a difference.
So you're having success with cat tunnels in winter, and generally cat tunnels are not encouraged for winter production. Is there anything that you're doing to really stiffen them up, besides tightening your ropes good and tight?
Yeah, so I think that also adding the ridge pole in is a big benefit. It just gives full stability. So those are using Johnny's Seed sells these like U clamps. I forget the name is for them, but they wrap around the 1 3/8 inch pipe and then wrap around the hoop. And so not only do you kind of like, you can lock those two together, and then we use tech screws so they don't slide in case the nuts loosen up, which I think definitely really helps as well. You can definitely also add the wind bracing or even a second purlin if you wanted to. One thing I think that could be possible too is adding extensions onto the hoops so that instead of having a 7-foot interior height, you could have like a 9, and that way the snow load would then have more room to build up as well, which could help. But honestly, I've seen it where the whole thing's covered in snow, the plastic's pushed in like 2 or 3 feet inside, and it's just a block of ice everywhere, and everything is totally fine. But
it's insulating too. Like the snow is insulating it from all sorts of, like, it's not just like straight air. Like, I don't know. I don't think it gets as cold.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's an igloo.
Yeah.
Totally. Literally. I mean, it definitely stays warm. I mean, we are still, I mean, the cat tunnel that had 200 feet of lettuce in it or whatever, we took 2 cat tunnels and we made one. So we made one 200-foot long cat tunnel. It was just a decision we made because of our field space. It's worked out okay. I think I like the 100-footers better personally, but it definitely works. And I think also, I mean, that one, we're still able to harvest lettuce out of it. We do double remay right on top of the crop. We don't put any hoops underneath. And if their lettuce is probably still growing back in there. We've cut it all out already once, but we'll get another cut off that in the spring if we want to.
So for you combined 2 cat tunnels to make it 200 feet long. Was that 2 pieces of plastic? How'd you connect those in the middle, or did you custom order one long sheet?
Since we already had the 2 sheets from the original each 100-footer, I combined them in the middle on the center hoop with wiggle wire track, and it seems to work fine. I'm not a huge fan of it because then that area isn't able to be opened.
So you've got like one hoop in the middle with the wiggle wire
Correct.
track, and then both of those pieces of plastic overlap just
Correct.
enough to get one channel to hold both.
Yep, which
piles.
works. But like I said, you can't open that 20-foot section in either direction just because it's locked to the ground, basically.
Right. It adds a fixed point to the middle that can't
Absolutely
lift up very well. Like if you had that on your end walls, same design.
correct. Yeah, it would be the same design actually on each end hoop, which would work fine because you could then open in the middle. And in this one, you wouldn't necessarily open the middle, but you would open at the 50-foot mark and the 150-foot mark, and it should be technically fine.
Right. There's enough airflow there.
Yeah. One thing that's tricky about cat tunnels is they heat up really fast and they cool down really fast. So it is a little bit tricky, and I think getting used to what crops work best with them is important to understand.
Right. You're not going to use a cat tunnel for everything.
You're not. Yeah. I mean, I think that like for peas, it works great for us. And we mostly at that point are leaving the cat tunnel completely open. Once we hit, mid-May, June timeframe, we're not trying to shut it all the time. It's also a lot of labor. So maybe we just leave the ends open so we have airflow and that's about it. But we're not trying to spend a ton of time messing with them.
Does leaving your ends open just invite a kite? Or do you mean lifting the sides?
I think if you have the ends open enough and both ends lengthwise open as well, I think that it's okay. I think there's enough draft. But I think it really is location dependent.
Mm.
And where the wind's coming from.
Right.
And how you orientate them. Are they orientated north-south? Are they orientated east-west?
And which direction is your wind coming in?
Right. So like for us, we're getting a lot of north-south winds or vice versa. And all of ours are orientated north-south, so it kind of can flow right through, which actually works really well for ventilation as well. Because not only does the temperature fluctuate easily, but humidity can build up very easily, which then will give you more pest or disease pressure. One addition that we did to our cat tunnels, which I was really glad that we did, was we put landscape fabric down underneath the hoops on either side and on the ends, because we kept ending up weeding this area that was not productive and totally a waste of our time. So we went through and did that, and it's made a huge difference.
So you just rolled out the landscape fabric and
Yep.
then you pounded the rebar right through it?
Correct. 3 foot wide landscape fabric, and put a foot of landscape fabric in on the inside and 2 feet on the outside of the hoop.
That's a good little nuanced tip.
Absolutely, yeah. And we don't move ours. We have, and I probably will again because I don't like where they are yet. But that's the only reason. It's not because we're trying to have a movable greenhouse.
Right.
Our terrain is not flat enough for that sort of situation, and I don't think it's necessarily cost effective for us to be moving them. I think it's much better to just keep them where they are and move the crops.
So if your tunnels are in a fixed location and you generally have peas and greens in it, what are you rotating through it? So you're not just peas and spinach after peas and spinach after peas and spinach.
So that's twofold. One is that only under certain circumstances do I feel that crop rotation is necessary. I think that with healthy, fertile soil, that you have amended properly and added more organic material as well as, compost, etc., you can grow the same crops in the same place year after year. If you start seeing certain pest issues or disease issues that are either systemic or soil-based or soil-borne, then I think there would be question for concern. There is arguments based on nutrient uptake of plants and what is occurring in that situation. However, I feel that if you have healthy soil that's full of good, healthy micro activity, that you will have enough nutrients to suffice.
It was working for you.
Yeah,
you throw
absolutely.
any cover crops in there at any time? Or just more compost in the spring?
So we were cover cropping the field right next to it with peas and oats this year, or last year, I should say. And I wasn't paying attention and totally cover cropped the entire inside of our cat tunnel. And that was fine. It was a little annoying at times, but it honestly was fine. We think that next season we will be able to start doing a little more of that. We have started doing a lot of alleyway cover cropping. In our garlic, we've been doing clover and buckwheat and different crops like that, and then mowing them down. So I'd like to start seeing that more in the high tunnels. However, mostly we rely on the compost because we are turning over those beds a lot and asking a lot of them, of that soil. We invest in it. So we're buying anywhere between 20 and 40 yards of compost a year and spreading that out.
But we do move the crops too. So it's like last year, like our kale and spinach cat tunnels, like we had one of each last year too, and they're flip-flop this year.
Sure.
So we're not putting it, like that crop is in there for so long. And it's like we're not going to grow kale in that over the summer.
Right.
So like we are flip-flopping it like here and there, but it's not like as much as other people might want to move crops.
Yeah. And like you said, if you're not seeing the disease pressure and you're not having fertility issues because you're adding more compost, that's not a problem and it's working. And like you said, like that's a reason for rotation, and rotation isn't always necessary. So
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a topic of discussion, I think, amongst farmers without a doubt.
yeah, it is something that's often talked about, and often a perspective that likes to get discussed. So how did you find out about caterpillar tunnels?
When I first learned about caterpillar tunnels was, I believe, through social media. I was looking at this picture of a field with 10 caterpillar tunnels all lined up next to each other, which I knew I couldn't do that because of the snow loads that we get in Vermont. However, it was really interesting to see the amount of production that was coming out of these covered spaces. So yeah, seeing these cat tunnels all lined up and understanding that that was a way that I possibly could build covered structure in a climate where I desperately needed it in order to get an edge on the market and get plants in the ground earlier and just have them longer, etc., really was kind of the start to the whole thing.
Thanks for sharing your opinion on cat tunnels. That's great to always hear other thoughts, challenges, and successes. Same thing.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
frustrating, but worth it. So thank you, Kyle and Betsy, for being on the show. If people want to learn more about you and your farm, how can they follow along and get a hold of you?
They can check us out on Instagram or Facebook, Thousand Stone Farm, and they can also check out our website at thousandstonefarm.com and email me or Betsy at Kyle or Betsy at 1000stonefarm.com.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming on the show. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you go ahead and subscribe, share this with a friend, or leave us a comment. And if you want more information, check out the show notes on our website at agengpodcast.com. That's agengpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. I hope you have a great day.
The proceeding has been a production of University of Vermont Extension. For more information on Extension, log on to www.uvm.edu/extension.